So what is the best method for removing a background? That really depends on the subject matter and how complicated the background is. Now, before I even get started on this lesson, I want to make it clear that from this point forward, I will be combining a lot of images into different compositions. And I want to avoid getting all the color setting errors. So I'm just going under color settings, and I'm going to set this to North American general purpose just for now, because I'm not actually outputting this to web or print at this point. And I am going to make sure that all the Ask When Opening checkboxes are unchecked. So if you want to do that, that will save you from seeing those dialog boxes come up about profile mismatches and such. Now I'm pressing OK, and I am going into Bridge. Now the images I'm going to use in this first composite will be the brown case, and then I'm holding down my control key and selecting the flower one. I'm selecting the orange backdrop and the sky.jpg. Now I can't just double click to open these because one of these is a .ai file and Adobe Illustrator will be launched, and I actually want to open up this file directly in Photoshop. So what I can do is right click, or if you're on the Mac, control click and choose to open with Photoshop CS4. So all of these images will open up in Photoshop. My preferences are set that they're opening up as tabbed windows. Here we go. Photoshop is asking what size I want to bring this image at. Just to make things easy, we'll leave it at the default size. And I will, again, go up to the application bar to choose the Arrange Documents drop-down menu and arrange these 4 images so that I can see them all at once. So you'll see that since I opened up an Illustrator file, it is converting it from vector to pixel. So it might take a few seconds there, and then we're all set. So now Arrange Documents, choose to see 4 up, and here are all our images. One thing to be concerned about when you're creating a composite, make sure that your images are closely related as far as resolution or pixel size. So I'm just going to check something before we get started, and I'm going to resize the sky image for this next composite that I'm creating. I am clicking on the suitcase to start. I am holding down my Alt or Option key, and I am clicking down in the lower left-hand corner. You'll see the default is that your document size is listed. So I Alt or Option click, and I see that this particular image is 849 pixels wide by 565. Now let me scroll down to the sky image, and I can see this is 1,130 pixels wide and 1,699 pixels high. So I do want to make this a little bit smaller, but how I'm going to make this smaller at this point is just using the crop tool. So I'm going to come up, select the crop tool, and just choose that I want the width to be about 800, and I want the height to be about 600. And notice that my default is inches at this point. So I'm going to make sure that I change this to px for pixels and go back and take that default and type px for pixels. And now I click down on my image. I'm pressing Control 0. You can press Command 0 to see the whole image, and then choosing to view just one image. Now I crop this image where I want to keep the image area. And be careful you don't extend beyond the crop area, because that will actually turn into white space. And when I press the return key, I now have an image that's relatively closer to the other images that are going to be in the composite. I'm clicking back up on the Arrange Documents drop-down menu and choosing 4 up. Now let's go ahead and get started. I am clicking on Brown Case, coming back up, clicking on Consolidate All button, and I'm going to remove the background using the Magic Eraser tool. Now, here's one thing I have to tell you. If you're doing really precise selections, this probably isn't a great way to eliminate a background. And the reason why is that your edges won't be exactly accurate. I mean, you could have some differences due to something called anti-aliasing. To give you an example, I'm just creating a new blank document. Clicking OK. If I take my brush tool and I'm pressing D to make sure I have black. If I take my brush tool and I start painting, you'll see that my pixels are not ending exactly where I am painting. Because if they did, I would have a really jagged edge to everything. The only painting tool that's not anti-aliased is the pencil tool. And I'm going to make the pencil a little larger by pressing the right bracket. And you'll see quite the difference here. So I guess you could look at these two strokes and say this is not anti-aliased and this is anti-aliased. Now, this is great normally when you're painting and retouching because it will transition your changes into the images. But when you're cutting and pasting or removing backgrounds, whether with a magic wand or magic eraser, frequently you have a little bit of an edge left here where it leaves hold of some of those pixels that were behind there. So if I just close this image, I'm pressing Control W. No, don't save it. And I will now return back up to Arrange Documents and choose to see all 4 up images. I'm taking the Move tool and dragging the suitcase down to the sky. All right, if you get this message, paste profile mismatch. We don't want to see these again. Just check Don't Show Again. Click OK. I'm going to select this image and make sure that this is the active image. Go back up to Arrange Documents and choose Consolidate All. And zoom in a little bit so you can see something here. Now I'm zooming in by holding down the spacebar and Control key, or of course it is the spacebar and Command key on the Mac. And what you might see in some cases is a little bit of an edge around your objects that you have selected with the magic wand or with the magic eraser. And you can see a little bit of this white edging going on because this suitcase was originally on a white background. If you've got to remove backgrounds this way, you're not really into the pen tool and other selection techniques, make sure that you at least understand something called matting. And if I choose Layer and scroll all the way to the bottom, all the way, you'll see Matting, Defringe. Just leave the width at 1 pixel, and there you go. What happens is that the image is re-anti-aliased. It gets rid of those white pixels that were kind of hanging in there from that last selection and cleans it up just enough so that it doesn't look so contrived.